Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the King, the public weal, peace and tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all people and the states within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, via Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Be seated, please. This meeting of the Honorable Senate of Friday, January the 26th day, 2024, is called to order. And before we begin the business of the day, it is my absolute delight, and I ask the members of the Senate to assist me in welcoming to the chamber this morning Senator Naval Clark. For those of you who don't know anything about him, he was recruited from the TUC in the United Kingdom, 1975, to return to Jamaica to serve the people of this country through the trade union movement. He continued to do that up until the time of his retirement, and is the longest serving member of this Senate from 1993 to 2016, appointed by the People's National Party. Senator Ozzie Harding, I think, served 2 years more than he, but he is someone who we refer to regularly because he had the pet peeve of the starting of the Senate, insisting that the Senate starts on time. And he was just reminding Senator Johnson Smith that he and her dad, Senator Anthony Johnson, of blessed memory, had moved the time of the Senate start from 11 to 10. Well, the more things change, the more they remain the same. We are trying to move it from 10 to 11. So, in any event, certainly welcome Senator Naval Clark. And in the confines of the lunchroom, I'm going to tell the story of your first interaction with Prime Minister Manley at the luncheon at Jamaica House that you speak about so often. It's hilarious, and I will tell him about it later. Statements by ministers. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the Senate are the following. Minister Paper numbers 04 of 2024 and 05 of 2024 entitled Cabinet Agenda Issues dated September 4, 2023 and September 18, 2023 respectively. Annual report of the National Environment and Planning Agency for the financial year 2013-2014 along with its related minister paper numbered 06 of 2024. Annual report of eGov Jamaica Limited for the financial year 2022-2023. Corrigendum to page 48 of the annual report of the Auditor General's Department for the financial year 2022-2023, tabled in the Honorable Senate on Friday, January 19, 2024. Jamaica Public Bodies, third supplementary estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year ending March 2024, dated January 2024. And finally, the fourth supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023-2024. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bills brought from the Honorable House of Representatives. Petitions. Papers. Reports from committees. Notices of motions given orally. Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to the sitting of the Senate. Motions for leave to introduce bills. The presentation of bills without the leave of the Senate first obtained. Public business. Madam Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, allow me to once more formally extend our greetings and warm welcome to former Senator Navel. I really must say what a pleasure it is to see you this morning. How well you look, I think, is a blessing for us all. And we can only pray to have contributed as much as your good self and to maintain such good health at this stage of life. We're glad you're with us today, sir, and hope that you will enjoy Senator Williams's presentation. Mr. President, I can make these jokes because of my bestie. My bestie, Senator Brown, is of course, you know, most accommodating of my sense of humor nowadays. Just to indicate, Mr. President, that it is our intention today to continue this State of the Nation debate with interventions by Senator Lambert Brown and Senator Councillor Delroy Williams. And it is intended to commence with the presentation by Senator Brown, who we welcome back from his own bout with ill health, and who therefore will now share with us the vigor refound during his recuperation. With that, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Just before you start, Senator Brown, welcome back, Senator Janice Allen. I'm lovely to see you in fine metal again. Good. And Senator Brown, in your absence, we have a new mic system. I don't know if you're acquainted with it, but well, welcome back, Senator Brown. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise once again to participate in the State of the Nation debate. I well recall, Mr. President, in January 2012, that along with Senator Navel Clark, that Senator Floyd Morris and myself are the only remaining members of the Senate sworn in January 2012. And Senator Clark assured me that he was going to be here this morning for this. And I thank you, my friend and brother, for your presence. Mr. President, on your side, on the government side now, there are 3 of the 21 senators who were sworn in 2012 that remain. Yourself, Minister Johnson, my new bestie, and Senator Cavan Gill. So, in those 12 years, we have had numerous interactions. We have agreed and disagreed on issues. And there's nothing personal in our agreements or disagreements. We all thought that in one way or another, we could best serve the nation's interests. And so, I want to thank former Prime Minister Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller, for her courage and some would say wisdom, others would say imprudence in appointing me, recommending my appointment to the Senate. She did it when I sat on that side, and she did it when there were only 8 of us sitting on this side. I also want to thank former opposition leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, for his confidence in making my 3rd appointment to the Senate. And I thank Peter, former student of JC, can't leave that out, and a man who have trod the earth. I thank you, Pedro. I thank also the current leader of the opposition, Mark Jefferson Golden, whose counsel was sought my counsel along the way, and who has indicated to me that he still wants me to play a role in the preparation he's making to become the next Prime Minister of Jamaica. As Peter Bunting would say, Senator Bunting would say, time come. Time come. Mr. President, I want to thank the Almighty for allowing me to be alive today. I can testify that His steadfast love never ceases, and new mercies are granted every day. President, and let me just say this here. This is likely to be my penultimate, Matthew Samoda not here, Senator Samoda not here. It's likely to be my penultimate, or very well, my ultimate State of the Nation presentation. I'm conscious, President, that age and health has put me in the winter of my public service. So I am ready to move on whenever that time comes for me to move on. And there's life post-Senate, as Senator Neville Clark shows. So I don't want headlines to say I've resigned.
Nor do I want it to say Senator Brown says time come for him. We don't want that either.
Time come. Time come. Mr. President, allow me in this presentation to be a little personal. On the 18th of September, I underwent a major operation. I was hospitalized for 2 weeks. Since then, I'm slowly recovering, and hopefully one day I'll be back to full strength. Mr. President, I owe more than a debt of gratitude to some people for their role in my presence here today. I came pretty close to not seeing you guys at my funeral. The doctors missed the fact that my appendix had ruptured, and it had been so for more than a week, and that the negative effect of that had begun to set in. I wish to thank personally, as I've done on so many times, my colleague, Senator Donna Scott Motley. I want to thank also my colleague, Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns. And the word I've chosen in the presentation is for conspiring. No conspiracy has an illegal element to it. But there's nothing illegal in the collaboration that they did with my daughter. But for me, good and bad conspiracy. They collaborated behind my stubbornness to have Dr. Jeff Lambert, who is the husband of Senator Fraser Beans, review my medical record. After I was told I needed to be admitted to the hospital, but there was no bed available. Not because I didn't have money to pay for a bed. There's no bed available in the private hospitals. And the only place that would take me was the University of the West Indies. They took me in the Tuesday, and they discharged Tuesday late, about 1 a.m., and they discharged me by 6 a.m. the Wednesday morning. I thought I was fine. I went home, struggling, but home and happy. But on the 18th, on the 17th of September, that's Sunday, it's a PNP conference. I was at home. I got a call that I thought was coming from Senator Fraser Beans because it was her phone number that called. So I said, "Are you at conference already?" But the person on the phone said, "No, Lammy, this is not Sophia. This is Jeff." That's her husband. He said, "Lammy, I've looked at your record following the conspiracy between them, and you should not be at home. You need to be in the hospital now." He added that he had made arrangements for a bed for me, and I should go immediately to the hospital. I'm alive today, thanks to him and his intervention. I want also to thank Dr. Baker, who facilitated the admission to hospital. And there's a man who I looked up after he cut me deep and asked him, "Why are you in Jamaica? Give me your skills, give me all of that." And he gave me a reason that made me proud of a patriot called Dr. Lucian Tomlinson. He walked into my room at Andrews Memorial Hospital, having been admitted on Sunday the 17th. He walked in on the 18th. And I'm meeting him for the first time. And he said to me, "You get the news?" So I'm wondering, as a politician, trade unionist, what news is he talking about? So I said, "What news, Doc?" He said, "I've just looked at your CT scan. Immediate surgery." Immediate surgery? And he explained what he saw on the CT scan. This is just about an hour or so after the CT scan was done. And he said, "I'm going to check for operating theater now." He came back, and this is after 5 o'clock, and said, "We're going in at 7:30. That's how urgent it was, Mr. President. President, we didn't go in at 7:30. There's difficulty. His deputy wife had a birthday that day, and he was out at dinner with his wife. Thankfully, the dinner was cut short, Minister Johnson Smith. I'm sorry, I apologize to the wife, wherever she may be, but the birthday dinner was cut short. He came. The anesthesiologist looked me in the face and said, "You must be important while I leave my dinner and come here." But I wasn't sure if I could be important on the gurney. I know they were going in. So I want to thank Dr. Tomlinson's team. President, allow me also to thank the management and staff at the hotel now, the Andrews Memorial Hospital. I want to thank the nurses who treated me, the nurses who did some personal things that I couldn't do for myself. I want to thank the technical team, CT scan, ultrasound, X-ray. I want to thank the ancillary staff. And more importantly, Senator Gale, I want to thank the porters, not only for pushing me in the wheelchair when I couldn't move, but I remember one day, President, that I needed to move from a chair to the bed, and I couldn't do it. So they sent for 2 strong porters, one on the left, one on the right. And they say after 3, 1, 2, 3, and they lift. But they had no me. I could not assist them. That was how weak I was. So I want to thank my physiotherapists, who often, as you know, Minister, and my colleagues on this side, I don't refer to her as a physiotherapist. I refer to her as a physiotherrorist. Dr. Savian Francis, for the tremendous work in restoring strength to muscles that had gone. I want to thank my colleagues in the Senate for your visits, your prayers, and your kind words during my most difficult times. I've said it over and over that in the Senate, on this floor, we debate vigorously. Some people outside take it personally. It isn't. We are friends. We get on along. Minister will not share with them our love letters. But suffice it to say, all on that side extended kind words, and some visited. One of them who visited will know how much of an impact he had by the opening testimony I made when I said, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, because that was part of the prayer. I want to thank my family and friends, because they were there for me at every moment of my illness. I want to thank my colleagues in the University and Allied Workers Union, who, Senator Gill, have been carrying the load. I trained them well, so they allow me to get extended sick leave that is needed. And I thank all of my colleagues at the UAW and in the trade union movement generally. Mr. President, I want to end this part by saying, I got my flowers while I could still smell them. I heard the glowing tributes while I was alive. Unlike the man who dies, and people ask, is who I'm talking about? I could hear while I was alive that they were talking about me. It was not a case where the flowers are left, where the dew is on the roses. I could hear the tribute rather than the silence of mourners leaving the graveyard. My day will come to depart, but it has not yet come. Time hasn't come for that yet. Mr. President, I've indicated to those who have visited me that I have become a strong advocate for ending the policy of turning patients away from hospitals because there's no bed. I'm not blaming government on one side or another. The reality is all of us have left our people short. Not because resources aren't available, but our vision did not take into account the fact that every man and woman in this country who pays taxes and their family shouldn't be turned away. I want to, President, indicate that during my own illness, I had to reach out to a colleague on the other side because a niece of mine was at Savlamar Hospital for 3 days on the tough bench because there's no bed available. I reached out to a colleague on that side who assisted in getting attention to her. I recall recently our great football icon, Alan Skillcole. The report said Alan was rushed to the University Hospital, but there's no bed. Minister Grange intervened. But that state of the nation that leave our people bedless when they're sick is not the best direction for our country. It needs to be changed. And I will be an advocate for that change. Mr. President, in October 2022, I spoke in the State of the Nation debate. Then I described the State of the Nation as one of fear and trepidation. A recent poll conducted by Dan Anderson indicated that nearly 60% of our citizens are living in fear. Imagine the drain that fear and JLP, PNP, NOP, just ordinary citizens, the drain that fear has emotionally, financially, health-wise, and every otherwise. We have to fix that. It is not a state of the nation that we can be proud of. This is not a good state of the nation. And this is worse, the fear and trepidation. It's worse because I recall the promise of the current Prime Minister when he was opposition leader. Then he said, "You want us to go to bed, sleep with our windows and doors open, and still wake up alive in the morning." In other words, crime and the murder rate would go down if you voted for his party. He said then, a lot can be done to cut the murder rates. Those are nice promises. People believed him then. But what is the reality? Mr. President, the murder figures, since I've been a member of the Senate, tells a story where my best years in the Senate relative to murder figures was between 2012 and 2015. The numbers were way lower than any murder numbers since 2016. That's the reality. It was done with less resources available, but done smartly, done with the wisdom of somebody like Peter Bunting as minister. The President, let us be clear. Since 2016, 1,354 murders. 14, 1,647. 18, 1,287. 19, 1,339. Went up in 2022 to 1,474. The highest figure during those years when Bunting was minister was 1,208. Every year since 2016, I've surpassed the highest year under the PNP for 2012, 2015. That is a reality. And I know Senator Fitzhenley, the narrative which says January this year is low, and therefore we can expect a low year. But let me remind you, in 2016, in January, there were 73 murders for the entire month. Yet that year, we had 1,300 plus. So it's folly to try and extrapolate from what is usually a low murder figure in January to present that for the entire year. And therefore, I urge you when you close, Senator, don't come with that argument. That's a bogus argument. It's as bogus as saying Trump won the 2020 elections, because it's really a big lie. Mr. President, I was tempted in preparing this presentation to simply read into the record a view on the state of the nation that didn't come from the opposition, a view which many describe as the real state of our nation, Jamaica. It is the travel advisory issued this week. 23rd was Tuesday? Tuesday was the 23rd? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days ago by the U.S. State Department. It's probably the worst advisory issued about our beloved country. Let's say it wasn't issued by the opposition. It was issued by our major trading partner, Senator Allen. It was issued by our largest tourist market, the government of that country. It was issued from a country where the Jamaica diaspora have been demonstrating against corruption and security issues recently. President, first paragraph says, reconsider travel to Jamaica due to crime and medical services. Reconsider travel to Jamaica. If the American tourists ever took that seriously, it would be in a serious state. So that, to me, is something we can challenge. But the people of Jamaica experience it. This is what the travel advisory continue to say. Violent crimes such as home invasions, armed robberies, sexual assaults, and homicides are common. Local police often do not respond effectively to serious criminal incidents. It went on to say public hospitals are under-resourced and cannot always provide high level of specialized care. That's the reality. And then it proceeded to say where U.S. personnel shouldn't travel to. Almost no parish is spared. Ocho Rios, Negril, Montego Bay are singled out. That, Senator Fitzhenley, is the real state of our nation. Doesn't look like a country going in the right direction. The state of our nation is not good. And that is why resonating around the country is the slogan, time come for a change. Mr. President, this damning travel advisory comes in what I call the season of promises. New promises, Senator Morris, on top of old, unfulfilled promises. Mr. President, I'm still in searching for the 5 in 4. Still searching for the 5 in 4. Still searching for a fixed election date when the fixed election date of local government has been postponed over and over, and the uncertainty as to whether it will be met this time is real. I'm still searching for the promise of a grand referendum on ganja, CCJ, buggery, promised by the government. Mr. President, the grand promise of prosperity was found in northwest St. Elizabeth. It was a donkey instead of the SUV and the proper roads that a modern and prosperous society would require for our farmers. Senator Brown, I'm still searching for the new parliament because this parliament, Senator Sinclair, the president, and myself, couldn't enter because there's no lift. We were excluded, President Sinclair, because of our infirmities, despite the Disability Act of 2014. Still searching for that promise. I'm still searching for the promise of a 6-story building at the University Hospital, which would have meant that they could have accommodated me when I needed a bed space. And by the way, has the groundbreaking taken place for the new parliament? Because this is a season also of groundbreaking. Mr. President, it is said that promises are comfort to fools. But Senator Clark, your service has been long, and you know the Jamaican people are not fools. The postponing of the local government elections reminds me, as an analyst, that a government who carries the electoral system to the last days legally allowed have truly lost the confidence of the people. This government has lost the confidence of the people. Time come to get rid of them. The people are no longer beguiled or bewitched by the lure of the green clerks. They are experiencing a nightmare. Also, the moniker Brogard is no longer ring like a bell. So quick.
Speaker's time has expired.
Mr. President, the Speaker's time having expired, might he be permitted sufficient to complete his presentation?
Members, you have heard the question. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Senator Brown, you may continue.
William Builder is now seen as a demolition man. So quick they say to demolish the homes of poor Jamaicans based on flawed intelligence. The people remember the declaration in Parliament, and they will never forget the bulldozers supported by the security forces, destroying what people, poor people, working women, work so hard to build. Time come to stop bulldozing poor people's house. President, I want to now turn to some trade union issues and some changes I believe, Senator Gill, are needed in the labor laws. The issue of contract work has been around for too long. In 2012, I spoke from that side in the Senate. And the reports showed me urging the administration, and that was the PNP administration, to review as a matter of urgency the practice of employing workers under the guise of independent contractors or contract workers, with a view to ensuring that employees are not deprived of their rights. I moved a resolution, successfully passed with the support of Senator Gill and others. Then I said in October, we need to have a standardized definition of a worker in the labor laws. Senator Golden Campbell. I wasn't here when you spoke, but let me say this. I disagree with your call to remove non-unionized workers from the IDT. Let me say this. It was your uncle, Colonel Patrick Charles, who piloted that bill through the Parliament. It was Colonel. Don't challenge me. All right, fix it. But I disagree with you. It was your father, Horace Bruce Golden, who was chairman of the cabinet, that approved that legislation. I admire your willingness to move away from your elders. But on that you and I part company. Your elders are supportive of my view that the legislation is proper as it is. So we're not going to quarrel. Colonel Patrick did the right thing, and your father did the right thing. As they say, a clock, even if it's not working well, is usually right 2 times per day. And they were right. I spoke about the need for modern social protection legislation. And I spoke about the difficulties that these contract workers have. I spoke again in 2022 about it. Trade unions want law to protect contract workers. And so, Senator Bunting, I thank you for supporting this. I thank Peter Phillips for advocating that on behalf of the PNP. And I thank Mark Jefferson Golden for advocating and indicating the willingness of a future PNP government to make the necessary change. Time comes for that. Sorry. So, President, I'm on record in respect to contract workers. So I need not say more than I've said there. And my time has expired, and the minister has been so kind to extend it. Let me go to the Labor Relations and Industrial Dispute Act. The existing law calls on employers to comply with IDT rulings. Section 12.5 of the law says so. Many employers do, President, but some don't. Let me give you an example, Senator Gill. In 2013, workers from our enterprise, 2013, were dismissed. The tribunal ruled in 2016 that the dismissal was unjustified and they should be compensated. The employer took the matter to the Supreme Court. The employer lost. The employer, Senator Brown, took it to the Court of Appeal, and they lost. Ruling of the Court of Appeal was 2021. That employer, who have not paid those workers who were dismissed in 2013, is on the way to Her Majesty's, His Majesty's Privy Council. For 10 years, those unjustified dismissed workers have not been compensated. And the most that is open to them is to carry the employer to court and to have the court fine the employer. But nothing will come to the worker. It will go to the government. The law needs to change to allow the IDT to make an award that says payment should be done by a specific day, a specified date, as is done in Trinidad, in Antigua, and elsewhere. And thereafter, Senator Brown, interest should follow. So I want the law to be changed to allow interest to be paid to workers who are awarded by the IDT and whose payment is not made. What has happened to those workers? And they are not alone. There are several other workers whose dismissal have been for years and are still fighting for compensation. Mr. President, I will have more to say during the rest of my tenure in the Senate on that. Another change I want to see in the law is something called the visitor, which applies to the universities. The law now prohibits a worker who was dismissed from challenging the courts or at the IDT, that dismissal, because of what is called a visitor. The visitor. And I was going to say, an overwhelming majority of senators do not know what the visitor is. The visitor was once a queen who was too busy to hear a petition. The visitor has now been changed, Minister, to a former president of the CCJ. But the principle is that every worker in Jamaica should have a right to challenge their dismissals through the courts or the IDT. And I pray for such a change in the law. Let us do what the UK has done to allow employment issues to be subject to the courts and the IDT. President, I couldn't close without mentioning the steno writers in the public service. People like the Hansard writers, few of them are here. People at the Services Commission, at the courts, at the IDT, they are poorly remunerated. And the reclassification for them has not done properly. I urge the government to revisit the issues of the steno writers. We see the effect of that in the courts, where cases are being thrown out in the Court of Appeal and constitutional rights being affected. Final thing I'll say in the State of the Nation debate about workers' issues is the process of interdiction. I hear the noise about NEPA. It's just wrong. It's 1961 regulations need to be changed to make the process of interdiction more restricted. I say no more because my strength is going. Minister, allow me to close on a foreign affairs issue. He's here, but let's find out. Today, the International Court of Justice made some provisional orders. This senator and all of us on this side support South Africa. We support the South African call to end the genocide. We call for a ceasefire in Gaza, as we immediate ceasefire. As we condemn the terrorist act of October 7th. I'm sorry my friend Senator Hill is not here. But Senator Hill, no black man, no black woman, no progressive government can but condemn the genocide in Israel, by Israel against the Palestinian people. Minister, my good friend, I hope to hear our voice, the voice of Jamaica, more loudly supporting South Africa, calling for a ceasefire and an end to the genocide. May it please you.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Minister. You have already indicated that, okay, Senator Williams. And Senator Williams, I recognize you from a seat not your own.
Senator Williams, it's only because the precedent was set by my colleague who is just vacating the chair. If not, I would require you to come off of that lofty perch. And go ahead, Senator Williams.
It feels good here. It's not too high and not too low. Just right. Good morning, Senate colleagues. Mr. President, I didn't want to be distracted, but I just wanted to just address something that my colleague Senator Brown said. In brief, we could deal with that another day. Just to point him to the 2023 World Happiness Report, where Jamaica ranked #1 in the Caribbean. Moving ahead of Costa Rica and the DOMREP, which were previously 1 and 2, Jamaica has passed the Costa Rica and the DOMREP. And Jamaica is before countries like Bolivia, Russia, Colombia, Hong Kong, and in a band of countries we should include South Korea, Greece, Montenegro. And so I believe that we are on the right track. Jamaica we are getting there. The prosperity agenda is working. And that's part of the reason you may consider why your slogan, "Time Come," is not gathering prominence in the society. And you know it, and you know it. When you speak of time come, you don't even say it with any passion or conviction, because you're quite aware that it's not gathering any momentum in the society. And the reason for that is, and I'll give you this free of cost, the reason for that is that it does not conform to reality. And you are quite aware that that is dangerous. Now let's get to the speech. Mr. President, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge my family and friends who continue to support and encourage me on this journey of public service. I must extend my deepest gratitude to the people of the Civil Rights Gardens Division for electing me to serve as councillor since June 2003. Long time. June 2024 marks my 21st year as councillor. Long. And it has been a pleasure to serve the people of my division and the city of Kingston. Over this period, we have seen the growth and reshaping of the Civil Rights Gardens Division. We have seen, under the leadership of the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, remarkable infrastructural improvements spanning roads, housing, water, sewage. We have seen zinc fence replaced by reinforced concrete block fencing, to the point where the division is now almost zinc fence free. We are getting there. We have seen the growth of business in the division and the benefits of the falling unemployment rate as more and more persons, including the youth, find employment. I must also acknowledge the support and trust of our leader, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, as evidenced by his recommendation for my appointment to this honorable body. Our Prime Minister's decision to have the interests of local government in the upper house is a testament to his visionary leadership and his bold action. Our Prime Minister didn't talk ad nauseum about his respect for local governance and local representation. He demonstrated his respect in deeds. I extend my recognition and heartfelt appreciation to the councillors of the municipality for their guidance, support, and at times caution over the years, some of whom are here today. I see Councillor Tasha Schwab and Councillor Venetia Phillips in the gallery. The same to the leaders of the various teams I have been privileged to work alongside. This includes the technical and administrative teams at the KSAMC and the stakeholders of the many projects and initiatives across Kingston and St. Andrew, and our international and NGO partners who continue to partner in our vision and say, yes, Jamaica. Yes, Mayor, we are still believing. Take this opportunity to recognize our town clerk, Mr. Robert Hill, who is also sitting in the gallery. I also would like to thank the Senate President for his strong leadership, as well as the leader of government business in the Senate for her work in leading the work of the government senators. Mr. President, I would like to begin my presentation by dispelling an unfortunate notion in the minds of many of our fellow citizens. Many believe that local government does not matter. Many believe that local government is not a big deal. Let me be clear, that is absolutely wrong. This administration has put local government at the center of its development agenda. Housing projects are inextricably linked to local government. Housing projects do not happen without local government. Commercial activity does not happen without local government. Major infrastructural developments do not happen without local government. In fact, all development areas are subject to local government and its approval processes, whether it be big or small, expensive or not so expensive. With that said, Mr. President, I am proud to have the Honorable Desmond McKenzie holding the government portfolio, local government portfolio. He is someone who recognizes and understands the role of local government. He is a man that is ready to get the work done. Minister McKenzie is a man of action. Minister McKenzie is a man of substance and record. To put the role of local government into perspective, since 2016, 37,577 applications have been received for processing across municipalities. The value of approved applications, note I said approved, is valued at over $1.5 trillion. Let me repeat, over $1.5 trillion. Mr. President, the local government apparatus, therefore, has an indispensable role in executing the administration's prosperity plan. This model reinforces the importance and increasing impact of local government in the country's transformative journey. Through policy initiatives, local government has profoundly impacted our community by bolstering and evolving institutions crucial for national resilience and progress. The work of Minister McKenzie and his team has laid the groundwork for further achievements. Now that I have established that local government is a big deal, I know I don't have to explain why Kingston and St. Andrew Municipality is even a bigger deal. The KSAMC is an avid supporter of the prosperity agenda. We play our part in delivering for the people. The government is committed to building a better Jamaica, and Mr. President, like building projects, the municipality has a role to play. The executive of the government represents the architects, the new Jamaica, while the local government arm, having received the plans, fully approve. The prosperity agenda is taking off, Mr. President. We are seeing in the number of building applications. We have received over 4,500 building applications between 2019 and 2023 in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. 4,500 building applications over that period. This is important because even when the pandemic was crippling economic activity in many industries, the municipality played its part and ensured that the construction industry was able to continue, and the contribution to our recovery was no small accomplishment. Mr. President, the Rock Hotel, AC Hotel, R Hotel, Courtyard, Marriott were all constructed and opened under this administration. And more to come. The Foreign Affairs Office, the Grace Kennedy Head Office, the residential apartments at 10 Waterloo Avenue, the 20th South Residential Suite, the commercial suites across the city are just a few of the major building initiatives since 2016. The Church Street Transformation Project has started and is continuing. Work should be completed by the end of April 2024. We have also done work on paving and road rehabilitation works along Beeston Street, Charles Street, King Street, Water Lane, and Temple Lane, to name a few. Mr. President, the Crossroads Clock Tower Square and the Miss Lou Square have been completed. In honoring the history of the role Kingstonians played in World War II, we had to renovate the space. A more suitable waiting area was constructed for commuters. The clock was repaired and renovated. The roadway was paved, and the names of those for whom the monument stands were restored. Garden Town Square was renamed to Miss Lou Square, and a monument erected in her honor. Today, scores of students from the municipality and Jamaica now have a space where they can visit, see a monument in her honor, and appreciate the impact she had on Jamaica and the world. Local government made that possible. We made that tangible, and the work done in her honor will serve many generations. At the Miss Lou Square, we commissioned a mural, redesigned the square, gave a facelift to businesses in the area, and rehabilitated the roads. This administration understands the impact on our youth, seeing their own Jamaicans as trailblazers. Mr. President, we are building better communities. Building inspection processes that ensure that structures comply with safety standards, building codes, and regulations are integral to urban development and our continued prosperity. Mr. President, no process is perfect, much less a building inspection process. The practices vary significantly across different regions, influenced by local laws, technological advancements, and cultural attitudes towards safety and compliance. Permit me to offer insight into how different systems approach the critical task of ensuring building safety. In the United States, building inspection processes are primarily governed by the local and state levels, with the International Building Code serving as a widely adopted standard. Inspections in the US typically involve several stages, including plan review, inspections during construction, and final inspections. For instance, in New York City, the Department of Building oversees the inspection process. The city's complex construction landscape requires inspectors to have specialized knowledge in various types of buildings and systems. Technology also plays a significant role, with tools like the New York City Development Hub, allowing for electronic submissions of plans and virtual inspections for minor alterations. Japan's building inspection process is particularly noteworthy due to the country's high risk of earthquakes. The Building Standards Law of Japan emphasizes not only the design and construction phases, but also the durability and earthquake resistance of structures. In Tokyo, for example, the inspection process is rigorous, with government-certified private inspection entities playing a significant role. These entities work alongside the government to ensure compliance. The country's commitment to technological innovation is evident in its adoption of seismic isolation techniques and regular updates to its building codes and in response to lessons learned from past earthquakes. Germany is known for its stringent building regulations and high standards for energy efficiency. The country follows their building code, which is specific to each state. In cities like Berlin, the focus is not only on the structural integrity, but also on the building's environmental impact. German inspections often involve checking the energy efficiency of buildings in line with the country's commitment to environmental sustainability. The process is characterized by a combination of government oversight and independent experts who provide specialized inspections. I highlighted these three examples because they reflect elements of the new building inspection and permit process that is being rolled out at the KSA-MC. We will be digitally bold like the Americans, rigorous like the Japanese, and energy efficient like the Germans. I am proud to announce to the public that you can now review building permit applications and approvals online at the KSA-MC website. Mr. President, this is a pioneer moment for local authorities, and I am proud to lead the Council on this initiative. You can view the stages of consideration of the application, make and view objections, view stages of approval, and much more. This is a departure from what obtains in the past. Because in the past, residents were only aware of developments in two ways. One, by the posting of notices at the construction site. And two, after the approval was done. So if you didn't see...
Mr. Mayor, you leave out one part, you know, when them see the building start.
If you didn't see the notice, yes, and the building would start after the approval. So prior to this, most residents, I would say, would not be aware of construction developments coming or taking place in their communities. Right now, what we do, as soon as an application is made, we post the application on our website, and we allow for residents to search. You can search by community, by district, by street. So you are aware of the applications that are in the processing stage at the municipality. And then you're able to check, do your checks, raise your concerns or objections. And those concerns or objections must be presented to the building committee in its consideration of the application. So the building committee, the building officers cannot place an application before the building committee without the objections raised to the application. So the building committee members are furnished with the information relating to the objection. Now remember, the building committee consists of members from a wide range of agencies, ministries, and civil society. And that is a point that people not paying attention to, that there are various associations and professional bodies that are represented on the building committee at the municipality. So civil society is represented on the building committee of the municipality. So what we're saying is that because of this, we're building a more transparent systems, a more transparent system in the building approval process. This builds upon our framework of publishing permit approvals, which is what I said was before. We used to just publish the approvals, but for many of our residents, that would be too late because, as the law stipulates, objections are not really considered post-approval. This is technology ushering in historic transparency. This is the People's Council bringing the people closer to its operations. We are moving the building inspection process to the next level. Mr. President, changes will be happening on the ground. Currently, the KSAMC has 5 inspectors on staff. I mentioned to you earlier that since 2019, on average, we have about 900 applications per year, and we only have 5 inspectors. Mr. President, you would recall we mentioned the 4,500 building applications between 2019 and 2023. On average, that is approximately 900 applications per year. With 5 inspectors, Mr. President, I must therefore state that the municipality is staffed well beneath the prescribed number of technical experts. We have been working with the Ministry of Local Government to restructure the municipality and more specifically to increase the number of building and planning officers. We are advanced in this process, and pretty soon we will see a noticeable increase in the staffing of both departments. So we're not taking any action. We are taking action. Some of it requires time as we work out, as we restructure and reorganize and work with other ministries and work with central government to arrive at what is possible and to arrive at interventions and lay the path for the various interventions. We will be rapidly building out our cohort of inspectors to ensure that no one inspector will review a development at all its stages. This is important. This will further reduce the perception of corruption, thus protecting the reputation of those hard-working public servants who put out their all every single day of the week. Mr. President, I couldn't move beyond the building process without addressing some aspect of the IC report, the Integrity Commission report. I have to be very careful as to what I say. It is still a fluid situation, and there are various pathways to take, and there are technical legal matters involved. So we still have to be careful as a municipality what we say. We refer to the report of the Integrity Commission dated September 2023. The report has sought to review the processes of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation in respect of the granting of building and planning permits and the monitoring of the post-permit construction at 11 Charlemont Drive, Kingston 6. In the review and assessment of the Director of Investigation's recommendations regarding the officers of the KSAMC, the legal opinion of the Integrity Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution is of significance. Let me restate it. In the review and assessment of the Director of Investigation's recommendations regarding the officers of the KSAMC, the legal opinion of the Integrity Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution is of significance. The Director of Corruption Prosecution found that the KSAMC demonstrated gross negligence in their duties as building officers. She concluded that this amounted to administrative breaches. She found that the investigations did not reveal any acts of corruption, and she found no evidential support to conclude that the administrative breaches were a direct result of disingenuous acts. The Director of Corruption Prosecution noted that the protection given to building officials when they act or omit to act in good faith while exercising powers or performing functions as conferred or imposed on the local authority. The Director of Corruption Prosecution also relied on the stipulation in Section 80 of the Building Act. The Director of Corruption Prosecution findings is consistent with our own assessment, consistent with the assessment of the KSAMC. The KSAMC is taking steps to rectify any underlying systemic deficiencies at the KSAMC and to ensure that all relevant guidelines and documents are in place. And all necessary training is done. These steps will be placed along with an investigation of what the officers did or failed to do and obtaining detailed statements from them. Let me just pause here to say, we have placed in the public space that the KCC has to conduct its own investigation and conduct its investigation. And there are some people who feel that we can't and we shouldn't. But there are answers to questions that we need in order to proceed or to know where we go. For example, in the Director of Investigations report, it was said that there was an inspection done on January 10th by a KSAMC officer. And that in that inspection, the officer mentioned that there were minor deviations. There was a subsequent one on December 17th, in which the officer mentioned that the officer of NEPA, different agency, mentioned that there were deviations. Now, the inspector from NEPA did not state the nature of the deviation. And also a piece of fact that is relevant to that is that the inspector of NEPA did not have an amended plan that was amended on November 17, 2020. And the inspector of NEPA said that in his report, that he did not have the amended plan. So at the municipality, we don't have the answers to whether or not the deviation observed is a result of not having the amended plan before the inspector. If that is the nature of the deviation, we can't say. So,
I want to interrupt you because I was wanting you to finish the area. I think you have done so now, so yeah. Your time has expired. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senator's time for speaking having expired, I am moving that he be allowed sufficient time to complete his presentation.
Very generous of you, Senator Bunting. The question is that the speaker's time be expired to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Against?
And that is just to explain why further questioning and investigation and more detailed statements are required from the officers so that we have a proper picture of what took place. It is important that I mention this in my presentation because it's a matter of public interest. It's a matter that I'm called on every day by the media to answer. And so it's important that I spend some time and address it. as leadership in order to determine next steps that will produce intended outcomes. That's always important, the intended outcomes. What are the outcomes we're seeking? We have to read the reports in their entirety. So we can't read the reports and stop. We have to read the reports in their entirety, which includes the legal opinion of the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Engineering Officer are instructed to have an audit of the legislation, Building Act, conducted to ensure that the internal processes are in line with the legislative requirements. This is very important. So that audit of the legislation must take place so that we ensure that the processes are in line with the legislative requirements. And that is something that must happen with dispatch. The Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Engineering Officers are instructed to implement and strengthen guidelines as to the stages of the construction process at which a notice is required from the permit holder, to formalize the notices to be provided by the developers, to review and create standard forms for inspection and of construction sites. I know this Chief Engineering Officer will say to us that that has been done because since a lot of these issues were in the 2020, 2021, and a lot of changes have taken place at the municipality since that time. The CEO is also instructed to implement strict written guidelines for site inspections at each stage of the construction process, and to also have training programs to broaden the officers' education of their role and functions under this relatively new Building Act. I now turn to garbage collection. In response to the unprecedented global COVID-19 pandemic and external economic shocks, the administration had to take some tough choices. Every day, the administration was balancing lives and livelihoods, critical versus critical services. To provide our doctors and frontline workers with the resources they needed, the government had to pause many non-essential procurements. Garbage trucks were one of the suspended initiatives. Conscious of the state of the NSWMA fleet that we inherited from the previous administration, we committed to the procurement of 100 new trucks in 2020. This was cut by 50% due to the pandemic and our commitment to balancing the lives and livelihoods of Jamaicans. The 50 trucks were delivered in 2022, and though they have eased much of the strain on the collection of solid waste across Jamaica, more is needed. We had budgeted for 100 trucks for a reason. The government has committed to the procurement of another 50 trucks, which will include smaller compactor trucks for narrow roads and lanes. Efficient garbage collection systems can lead to remarkable improvements in a community's quality of life and overall environmental sustainability. But we too must play our role as citizens. The practice of throwing garbage wherever we want and creating dump sites at all points of the city and our communities must end. Greater enforcement and new legislation is being considered to help curb these practices. The municipality, no, you need some legislative amendments. The municipality has already made recommendations for legislative changes to its parent ministry. The KSAMC is in the process of conducting a pilot using one truck in collaboration with the NSWMA and the Ministry of Local Government for daily collections within the downtown space. Mr. President, the KSAMC now has 2 periods of garbage collection per day under this pilot. First is at 10 a.m. and the second, 2 p.m. This pilot began in the final quarter of 2023. Since rolling out this schedule, the overall cleanliness of the city has improved, and we are close to recommending the expansion of the project to town centers across the country. We eagerly await the 50 additional trucks. I myself have been inspecting a lot of these sites at different times throughout the day, and I see the significant improvement in this, which is a result of this pilot project. At first glance, I now move to roads. Roads may seem like mere strips of tar and concrete, but they are, in fact, the arteries of our society, pulsating with the lifeblood of economic activity and social interaction. Make no mistake, good roads are the backbone of a thriving economy. They facilitate trade and commerce by allowing goods to be transported efficiently from producers to markets. A good road can be the difference between an employee reaching work ready for a productive day versus reaching the workplace tired and frustrated because of a less than ideal commute. Furthermore, the construction and maintenance of roads create numerous jobs at the community level, contributing significantly to employment and income generation. But the impact of roads goes beyond mere economics. Socially, roads play a pivotal role in connecting communities. They bring people closer, allowing for easier access to education, healthcare, and social services. In rural areas, improved road connectivity can be life-changing, enabling residents to access markets, schools, and hospitals, which were previously out of reach. This connectivity also fosters cultural exchange and understanding as people from diverse backgrounds interact more freely. The municipality's focus on road aligns with our mission to totally transform the social and economic lives of our residents. Mr. President, if you want to hear about roads, I can tell you about roads. I can confidently speak about the record of the Council under our leadership. We softened the streetscape in the downtown area, Mark Lane, Water Lane, Temple Lane, Eastern Street, Charles Street, to name a few. The Church Street Transformation Project is part of a major project to include Duke Street, East Street, and Barry Street in the first instance. We have commissioned murals along Temple Lane, Water Lane, Mark Lane, Church Street, King Street, Petron Street, and work alongside the private sector partners, including Grace Kennedy and Ray and Nephew, for murals on the boardwalk entering downtown Kingston. We have rehabilitated, and you can check the numbers, we have rehabilitated and repaired approximately 326 roadways across Kingston since 2017. Mr. President, within the last 3 years, over 22 kilometers of roads have been rehabilitated by the KSAMC. Several constituencies across the Isles have seen over 30 roadways rehabilitated under this administration. You can name a few: Western St. Andrew, East Central St. Andrew, North Central, West Rural St. Andrew, North Central St. Andrew, and many others. I've seen and felt the impact of this administration on their road networks. Mr. President, the development and repair of our road infrastructure is not just about laying asphalt. No, no, no. This exercise is about laying the foundations for economic growth and social well-being. Roads are the pathway to peace, productivity, and prosperity. If roads are the pathway, then the street lights illuminate our pathways. Mr. President, following the reduction in our debt to the JPS, this administration has improved upon the safety and security of our residents. We will continue to increase the number of streetlights across the city, and we have also implemented a program of solar streetlights in many rural areas. Some beneficiaries already have been Foster Lane in the Lawrence Tavern Division, Orange Field in the Brandon Hill Division and other sections, in the Papine Division, in sections of that division. We have implemented a solar streetlight project that is having an impact on our residents. From the days of yesteryear, water and access to water has been one of the main determinants of success for a city. The same is true for Kingston and St. Andrew. With the help of the water boss, Minister Matthew Samuda, we will soon leave this chamber to go to the other place. The KMC has completed the Spanish Town transmission pipeline replacement from 6 miles to Blake Road to South Camp Road. The Walton Park Road Whitfield Town pipeline replacement. The Montgomery Corner well drilling, development, and yield testing. We have work ongoing, and these include Lower Jacks Hill water supply upgrades, replacement of the 1.5 million gallon tank at Hope, and the Port Royal transmission main replacement. Work is to begin soon on the ferry to Rock Pond, transmission pipeline and pump stations, the Port Royal transmission main replacement, and the Stanton Terrace to Montgomery Corner Cavaliers transmission pipeline replacement, to name a few. So on the issue of water infrastructure within the city space and within the municipality, major improvements have taken place and major improvements are still ongoing and coming. With respect to sewage, which is equally important, sewage is equally important in particular as we transition the city of Kingston into a destination city, a tourism city. Then our infrastructure replacement and upgrade and renovation, that is a critical part of transitioning the city to a destination city. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, with the leadership of my colleague, Senator and Honorable Minister, has completed work on Mona Heights, Soares, Bougainvillea Avenue, Gardenia Avenue, Fardodia Avenue, University Crescent, Millsborough, Agley Park Road, to name a few. This is currently ongoing is the St. Paul's Lane, Olympic Gardens, and there are many other projects being done with respect to sewage infrastructure by private developers. Mr. President, as I move to wrap up, Mr. President, we are all very aware of the infamous food situation just up the road, where I saw you just the other day, Mr. President. I didn't know what you were doing. In every neighborhood.
I was buying a cup of warm soup to drive a little gas off my chest.
In every neighborhood. Soup and corn. In every neighborhood, on every street, food is more than just sustenance. Food is a true expression of culture. That is why I found it most unfortunate that such a clear sanitary breach took place in such a significant culinary hotspot. I am referring to Crab Circle, Mr. President. As unfortunate as it was, there was a silver lining. With assistance from the Art Trust NSTA, 12 vendors were trained by the municipal corporation in small food facility operations through a 5-day training program. We raised the skill levels, We raised the skill level of our hard-working entrepreneurs. We upskilled and reskilled our vendors. We took a look at the facilities and we completely renovated them from top to bottom. On November 23rd, 2023, the new and improved sanitary crab circle was opened to the public. Instead of politicizing the issue and offering no solutions, we moved the crab circle from buckets to bathrooms, from water bottles to pipes. We didn't pontificate or come up with false outrage. We came up with a plan and we executed it. We built a better space and improved the lives of the vendors. Mr. President, we are building better communities. We executed so well, in fact, that now we have planned to intervene and develop other food areas. Mr. President, I could speak about markets, but I'm going to skip over to, in the interest of, well, let me just say on markets. Let me say on markets. This administration of the council has renovated, repaired, and constructed more markets than any other administration in the history of the KCMC. You want Stony Hill Market? See, Councillor Schropp is up there. The Papine Market, Councillor Phillips is up there. The Jubilee Market. I invite the Senate to have a tour of the Jubilee Market. It's an exquisite space. And right now we are leasing the 40 shops constructed at the Jubilee Market. It's out to the public, so persons are and have started to express interest in those shops. As a matter of fact, they are saying that the name should be changed to the Jubilee Plaza. So, with the help of the UDC, we have completed the Red Rose Fish Market, also another market. But we fully well understand that part of upgrading and transforming the market districts is not just only infrastructural upgrades. It will require also changes in behavioral practices and attitudes. That has to complement any infrastructure work you do in the market space. And we're fully cognizant of that. That is a little more time-consuming than the infrastructure work, because we all understand the difficulties in changing behaviors and in changing attitudes. And we are consistently working at that to give us the outcome of our residents having or increasing their pleasant experience in the market space. And that is something we are working towards. It takes time. Bear with us. It takes time. It's not a click of the finger. And we are cognizant of that. We just like to, as I've said, in closing up, just to say that there are more upgrades of and improvements to the spaces downtown, that the upgradement works are in place and coming. We will be adding umbrellas and other features to the Mark Lane, Temple Lane, Water Lane experience, which will give us a lovely, will enhance the aesthetics of the downtown space, but also enhance our experience. The objective of the transformation of downtown is to allow for the interaction of our people with culture and history in this space. We want your interaction. We want your interaction to be enriching. which means that we have to align your interactions in the space with our history and with our culture. And by history and culture, you know, that's broad. So you're taking everything, or music, or foods, and all of that. And that is what we are working towards in the downtown space, as we bit by bit transform downtown with the limited resources we have. And as we anticipate that sooner than we are thinking, that the central government will make a huge capital injection into the space that will just transform it in a matter of 5 years, right, Chairman of the UDC? And as I have said, it is the first, I believe, in the history of this country that you're seeing a convergence. It's almost providential. It makes you kneel and pray that you're seeing a convergence of interest, views, approach, and vision. And that convergence is evidence. The chairman of the UDC is here. He has no different view than I have. If you go to JSIF, they have no different view than we have. So if you go across the ministries and agencies, you will realize that the vision is aligned and embraced, and that our residents are embracing the vision for the transformation of our city into an experience to have. I quickly move to just mention the Marvelly Park, because that is dear to me, the Marvelly Park. And what I say about the Marvelly Park will be consistent with our approach to parks across the municipality. The Marvelly Park will be a sustainable climate-friendly park. It is at the intersection of Washington Boulevard and Mullines Road. It will be an example of environmentally and ecosystem-friendly infrastructure. It will utilize solar and water harvesting methods. Non-easily degradable material, like tires, will be repurposed to be used in the play areas. Mr. President, we will be planting over 100 trees within the park. We have also continued work on the Duane Park and other parks, and those works are continuing consistent with our vision for the Marvelly Park. I could not close without mentioning the homeless community. The homeless community. If there's one thing we have learned from you, is how to speak long. Today is history making for you, you know. I've never seen you so short in your speech. The Desmond Mackenzie Transitional Facility now houses 40 homeless persons. Mr. President, no other administration has done more work for the vulnerable. We are proud to announce that phase 2 of the project has started and is expected to be concluded this year, which will add another 60, which will add spacing for another 60 homeless persons. Mr. President, we have done significant work with the creative industries in downtown Kingston. We have all seen the murals, paved, the pedestrianized streets, and the events, music videos, and photographs that have followed. The work continues. We will be further enhancing the aesthetics along all these roadways as we work with the various groups across the municipality in the creative industries. In conclusion, Don't worry, Senator Morris. I'm saving some for the debate. Mr. President, we are at a pivotal juncture in the transformation of Kingston and St. Andrew. I stand in this Senate with a profound sense of purpose and commitment, representing a team of local representatives, a team dedicated to the advancement and betterment of our municipality. Our mission is clear, our goals are set, and we are ready. Or we have been ready. We are committed to transparency and accountability. These are not just words for us. They are principles that guide our every action. We understand that the public trust is earned through consistent, open, and honest communication. Not promises and half-truths. We believe that the best policies are those shaped by voices of the people they are meant to serve. We are committed to an inclusive process, one that actively seeks out and incorporates the entire community. Our approach to governing is rooted in this understanding. We are here to serve, and we continue to do so with the utmost integrity and openness. Our track record speaks for itself. Together, we have navigated challenges, turned obstacles into opportunities, and delivered results that have made a tangible difference in the lives of our citizens. From improving our infrastructure to enhancing public services, from fostering economic growth to ensuring environmental sustainability, our accomplishments are a testament to our ability to execute our vision effectively. With our diverse expertise, commitment to transparency, proven track record, innovative approach, and dedication to community engagement, we are uniquely positioned to lead our municipality into a future that is prosperous, sustainable, and reflective of the needs and aspirations of our citizens. In closing, I would like to say, you know, my closing take many forms. I would like to say to the people, I would like to say to the people of Kingston and St. Andrew, thank you for your trust, your support, and your partnership as we embark on this journey together. Let us move forward with a shared vision, a united purpose, and a steadfast commitment to making our municipality the pearl of the Antilles, the light of the Caribbean. Stay engaged, and stay motivated. The best is yet to come. God bless you all, and God bless the KSAMC.
Thank you very much, Senator Mayor Delroy Williams. And Madam Minister, just before you ask for the closing of the debate and the closing of the session, I neglected to welcome the members of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Administration here this morning. I should have done so earlier, so welcome to the Senate. It's always a pleasure to see you, and you're always welcome here. And I guess you do know that this is really your building. We're only just scotching here. I take the opportunity to invite you downstairs to have lunch as a guest of the President. Madam?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think it's been an excellent day, and I think it's difficult with calls of providential actions and prayer and heralding all manner of positive developments to come for the entire island through the good works of local government. It is hard not to feel buoyed at this point as we close today's sitting and as we seek the suspension of suspension of the debate.
The minister has moved for the debate, State of the Nation debate, to be suspended for a date to be fixed. Those in favor? Against?
I will share, of course, Mr. President, that as indicated to colleagues, we will close the State of the Nation debate at our next sitting. It is intended that at that time I will also take the matter of the outstanding questions that tabled by Senator Morris. He has shared the follow-up questions, and I have already reached out to the NHT to receive their response, and the Senator has been quite agreeable in recognizing that what they provided had to be reviewed before it was shared. So accordingly, we can take that matter next week as well. In that context, Mr. President, might the Senate be adjourned for a date to be fixed?
Thank you very much, members. Would have heard the question. Those in favor? This Honourable Senate now stands adjourned for a date to be fixed.
Something good gonna happen in this year.
Join the Reggae Fraternity for the morning of praise and worship live from Fellowship Tabernacle for the annual Reggae Month church service. Sunday, January 28th at 9:30 a.m. Reggae Month 2024, celebrating reggae's message of one love. Reggae praise to start Reggae Month. Live right here on PBCJ.